Hello viewers and welcome to another match of Warhammer 40,000 Conquest. My name is Mitch and I am the Hive Tyrant. Today I present my second week match of the Spring 2016 season of Sam Mann's Black Crusade, his online Conquest LCG competitive league. We're going to be doing this one live, so I'll run you through my thought process as our match is ongoing. My opponent for my second week match here is dagreenmachine, and interestingly, he's going to be running Tyranids. He's old One-Eye with Stalking Lictor, and I'm going to be my tried and true Broderick Worr. So let's see, I start the game with initiative, and I'll say pondering, keeping my opening hand, and let me take a look at our planetary layouts. So we've got each and every planet is going to be green, which does not look good for old One-Eye right off the bat. Planet number 1 is Taurus. So I don't have to worry too much about him keeping a lower unit count than me and winning that one, although he is disadvantaged having that Synapse unit. Let's see, from my opening hand, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've got a shitload of units. I suppose I could see a victory condition as early as planet number 3. I'm likely going to want to send Broderick to planet 4 to relocate one of my units. So why don't I put something big and nasty at planet number 1, just to try to deter him. Old One-Eye's only going to be able to swing for 2, so why don't I use my first action? I don't really have any deploy stalls, so why don't I just do something like this? This is the first game that I've played in... okay. Sorry, I decided to keep the recording, and commentating is throwing me off. Alright, so after that small mistake there, let's go ahead and see what exactly he does. He decides to keep his opening hand. I of course did not decide to mulligan, and let's see what he's doing. So that does not bode well for me. His Warlord's now got 7 HP, and after it removes damage, it now gets a bonus to attacking. I want to say this is maybe the only time that I've ever actually played against Tyranids. So let me see. He's bought a little deploy stall through that. And I guess at this point, I just want to kind of distribute economy units around the board. I could do another Steel Legion Chimera just to guarantee that I could win that planet. I don't have any troop transport or Elysian assault team to replace this unit. So I could do a couple of Shrine Guards at either of these planets. I think maybe I will do that just to stall. I unfortunately don't have any shields, but I suppose I'll send a Shrine Guard here, and let's see what all he ends up tossing out. He's got that Stalking Lictor, which is going to be able to beat any of my only 1 command icon units, and therefore that may have already been a bit of a mistake putting a Shrine Guard out at that planet, unless I also put a Sanctioned Psyker at that location, which is totally possible. He's got a Ripper Swarm. Is he going to put it opposite my Shrine Guard? No. So I'm probably going to be showing up at Planum too, and I guess I can get the added benefit of killing off the Ripper Swarm if I need to, so that's... Unless he's going to be sending his Warlord to that planet, then that kind of sucks for him. And I'm not sure that was necessarily the greatest move. If he shows up at planet number 1, he'll swing first for 2, then I can swing for 4. He will be able to ready and pull half the damage off of him, and then swing for 4 again. I could do another Anxious Infantry platoon at planet number 1, and then basically guarantee that I'll be able to win at that planet, or I could do another Infantry platoon at... I think probably the best thing to do is to put this guy at planet 2, just because that's now 2 places where the enemy Warlord is going to be kind of blocked off. If old One-Eye ends up going to... Well, I guess I'll just kind of have to see. Where is the Warlord likely to go? I think he's really likely to show up at probably planet number 3, because he's going to be able to kill off this Sakhalem Shrine Guard here. The Stalking Lictor could pretty much go to planet 2. I guess I could try and kill the Stalking Lictor, but I think it would probably work in my benefit were I to get rid of this Ripper Swarm and then get the action advantage from relocating the Anxious Infantry platoon. So let's see what Old One-Eye is going to do. I guess in my mind, he's still got 5 resources and 4 cards, which totally sucks. I'm really quickly running out of actions, but let's pause for a sec and see what the enemy does. Okay, so Virulent Spore Sacs is going to be at planet number 2. That's going to be an opportunity for him to infest that planet. Because I don't have any shields at all, that could be him swinging with Old One-Eye for 2, and that plus the 1 damage from the Spore Sacs could mean that he's going to be able to destroy anything at that planet. I could put a Sanctioned Psyker at that location just to make sure that I'm going to be able to win command, but then that Sanctioned Psyker isn't necessarily doing much for combat. Like, Old One-Eye is just going to basically force it to retreat, but I might want the income from that planet. I'm likely going to be maybe... Okay, so currently I'm at 4 units, he's at 4 units. If he kills my first guy, I'll drop down to fewer units than he has. I'm not terribly concerned with Old One-Eye having an infested planet outside of, like, Dark Cunning, so he can do double actions. I don't want to do a Rattling Deadeye at this planet. If I do the Sakhalem Shrine Guard, then it's not going to be... It's not going to be killed by the Spore Sacs, so I could do that. The Rattling Deadeye would not be a good choice. So... And it also wouldn't be the end of the world if I just kind of abandoned this planet. So why don't I block the... I could block the Shrine Guard. Like, the Stalking Lictor could show up probably here. So Old One-Eye could also show up here. Why don't I just do... Okay, so I'll assume Old One-Eye is going to kill that off. I think I'll just put a... Gosh. I think I'm just going to go ahead and spend... Okay, so if I win, command at 1, and that's it, then I'll just have 1 resource in case he manages to steal a resource here. So why don't I just go ahead and toss a Rattling... No, I want to put out more combat units. So why don't I just do this? I'll do a Sakhalem Shrine Guard at planet... So if I do 1, I can basically make sure his Warlord does not arrive at that location. I don't know if this is the best idea or not, but why don't I just bully the first planet? I'll be sending Broderick to planet number 4, clearing out that Ripper Swarm, and then adjusting the location of probably this Anxious Infantry platoon as need be. I suppose if I can win this relatively early, that would be great, but if not, that's not going to be the end of the world. I would be surprised if Old One-Eye shows up at this planet. He'd be able to swing first. It's looking like I'm going to be drawing maybe just 1 card. Okay, so he's kind of indicating that he's wanting to fight me for that planet. Or maybe that's a little bit of a hoax, but he's only got 1 resource left, so that could be a Digestion Pool or a Termagant Sentry. If he's really wanting to fight for the first planet, why don't I just go ahead and maybe this is overkill. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units relative to his 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units. I could do a Rattling Deadeye. And I think maybe I will do that. I'll just also put a Rattling Deadeye at that planet. He's only got 2 cards in hand, And the benefit of him having a flyer here is he's going to be able to reduce a lot of that damage. So I think I'm going to be kind of... Oh, Christ. Alright, so he's got a regeneration on his Soaring Gargoyle, and now that really sucks, because if his Warlord shows up, that's going to be just a huge amount of damage that he can kind of heal away. Iridial is also a planet on the table, and that about sucks. So this Soaring Gargoyle, I'll go ahead and indicate that I pass. And let's see. So if Old One-Eye shows up at planet number 1, he's going to be able to attack for 2. He could kill, like the Sakhalem Shrine Guard. The Soaring Gargoyles is going to be really difficult to kill, and it's probably going to be more important that I try to get rid of that than Old One-Eye, just because I think the worst case scenario is if I distribute damage between the Gargoyle and Old One-Eye, he's going to be able to remove a lot of damage. So I'm trying to think, do I want to send my Warlord to Planum? Like, I could have another attacker. Let's see. I guess if I send Broderick to planet number 1, I'll have initiative, so I could shoot for... Like, if Old One-Eye shows up, I could shoot for 2 and then swing for 4, and I think I could force him away from the planet pretty quickly. So the thing that I would like to do would be to send Broderick to Planum, but I think what I should do is send my Warlord to planet 1 just to really bully him away from that planet, just because if Old One-Eye shows up at 2 or 3, I feel like I'll be okay. So why don't I go ahead and do planet number 1. I was going to say maybe against my better judgment, but maybe it is the right call, just so I can maintain initiative. That's investing really heavily into one planet, but I think the ideal situation is if his Warlord does show up, because he has to ready to heal, and it's only after damage is removed that he gets that bonus, and I feel like I can crank out a lot of damage prior to his Warlord readying. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Old One-Eye go to planet 1 or 2, and here's hoping I draw shield cards. It's looking like I'll probably be able to get at least 1 card, and let me just confirm that we're both ready. His Synapse unit, I would be shocked if it doesn't show up at like 3 or 2, just because he's going to want to beat me in regard to command, but I will get at least 1 card, and here's hoping it's something like a 2-value shield card, just because it would be a damn shame if Broderick takes more damage than he needs to. So let me see. Still waiting on the Tyranid Synapse unit to pick a destination, and it looks like he has picked, so looks like let's both reveal. His Warlord does go to planet number 1, so maybe that was a wise choice for me, and then the Stalking Lictor is going to be arriving at planet number 3, so I'm going to win command on planet 1, and that is basically going to be it. So I ended up getting an Elysian Assault team, which I'm pretty cool with seeing. It's not a shield, but I'm probably only going to keep Broderick around until the end of the first combat round. There's no... I guess Ferocious Strength is an option, so hopefully that's not going to happen to hurt Broderick here, but why don't I just say any actions prior to combat? And let's see what's going on. I think what I want to do is just deal as much damage to the enemy Warlord as I can and remove him from the planet. So I'm going to go ahead and attack with my Rattling Deadeye, targeting Old One-Eye, just because, let's see, so it's 2 attack is the total, because we're sitting at a green planet, and now I will just go ahead and pass, so I'll just say no worries at all, and then let us see what Old One-Eye is going to do. So it's going to be his opportunity to attack. He can either swing with his Warlord or his Soaring Gargoyle, but he's not going to have a sufficient amount of damage to destroy my Anxious Infantry platoon. If he attacks my Shrine Guard, that would be a bit of a damn shame. I guess depending on what exactly he attacks, like, I'm going to let him attack Broderick twice if he wants to do so. I guess the Shrine Guard might be good just to get an attack out because I don't have a shield, so I probably want to go ahead and swing with it prior to the Anxious Infantry. Oh, shit, I forgot that it's my action. Sorry, so I'm going to go ahead and swing at his Warlord, so I will say apologies. Commentating is messing with me. Alright, so I forgot. I did want initiative. Now it's going to be his opportunity to swing, and all he's going to be able to do is either hit my Warlord. What's really a damn shame about the regeneration there is it's got 5 HP, this Soaring Gargoyle, so in addition to flying, I don't have anything that can clear it out in a single swing. So his Warlord is actually retreating, which is pretty cool. So he's basically going to be abandoning this planet, and now I guess I may as well take this opportunity to swing with my Anxious Infantry platoon and target his Soaring Gargoyle, so it's just going to cut that down to 2 damage from 4, and I'll go ahead and pass on my action. His Soaring Gargoyle is going to be okay, so regeneration pulls a couple of points of damage off of it. I indicate that I don't have any actions, and I apologize, my viewers, for being a little bit sloppy with my action windows here. First time in about 6 weeks I've played a game, and if you can tell in my voice, I'm ever so slightly nervous at the prospect of playing and just doing this live commentary thing. So the Soaring Gargoyles ends up killing the Sakhalem Shrine Guard, and I'm going to think about this for a sec. So Broderick can only deal it 1 point of damage. The Elysian Assault Team, if I use that, can't deal it very much damage either, but I think I'm okay with the Shrine Guard being destroyed. So I'm just going to go ahead and pass. The Elysian Assault Team and Broderick would have only been able to deal 3 points of damage. It's got 5 hit points. I'll go ahead and swing with my Warlord to deal just 1 point of damage because of flying, and he's presumably going to be able to retreat with his Soaring Gargoyle, but it's not necessarily going to be the end of the world, even though he's going to be able to benefit from regeneration once again. So I will indicate that I am done, and then I guess we'll come to the end of the combat round. And I will indicate, do I want to stay with my Warlord or not? I think I will... I'm thinking. So let me say thinking for a moment. I suppose the conservative thing is to run away with Broderick. I definitely don't want him to take any damage whatsoever. This has only got 4 hit points remaining. I do have that Elysian Assault Team. There's no... Unless he's got a Genestealer Prowler, which he does have the resources for, it's not looking like he's going to be able to really do much to oppose me. So let me think. I really don't think he's going to be playing a Genestealer Prowler, and in fact that doesn't even have ambush with when you're not playing Subject Omega. So I will say retreat with 1, and now let's see what he does. I've still got the initiative during combat, so I'll be able to attack with my Rattling Deadeye for basically 1, and then my infantry platoon can attack for 2. That's not going to be a sufficient amount to kill him, but I'll be able to attack again the following round, because he's not going to be able to clear out all my units here, and things are looking like it's probably a bad idea if he decides to stay for more than this 1 additional round. Whoops. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and indicate that I have no actions, and then I will take a shot with my little Rattling Deadeye, which I accidentally moved, so I'm kind of giving away that I'm going to be attacking with it, and I will go ahead and hit his with my Rattling Deadeye, I'll hit his guy for 1, and then I don't have any actions here. And now it's going to be back to him to probably kill my Deadeye or otherwise wound my Anxious Infantry Platoon. But what's he going to do? So it's his swing. He can either wound me, or he can kill my Deadeye, and then as soon as the infantry platoon is going to be killed, I've got Elysian Assault Team at my disposal. So I'll just go ahead and say your swing to remind him there. And every time I type something, I have to reach past my microphone and type at an awkward angle if I end up making any typos. But let's see what the opponent does. Is he going to go for the guaranteed kill or softening up my unit? Looks like he's going to go for the guaranteed kill. I'm okay with that. I will again indicate no actions whatsoever. And as soon as he indicates he has no actions, I'll go ahead and swing for 4, cut in half to 2. And, alright, so it looks like, okay, so if he wins this planet, he's not going to be able to trigger the ability. I guess that'll be the end of the combat round there. We're going to retreat, and, I will, say I have to stay. And then let's see if he stays as well. I guess I forgot earlier that if he were to retreat with the Soaring Gargoyles, it would be destroyed by Broderick Worr, so that probably would have been a bit of a poor choice for him. And considering that, maybe it would not have been a bad idea for Broderick to hang around just in case he would have attempted to retreat with his unit. So I guess, is he going to be staying, or is... Okay, he does decide to retreat, and that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so I've got 4, and I can either draw cards or do resources, and I think what I want to do is I want cards, so I will say I'll draw cards, and maybe I'll get lucky here, so I'm going to go ahead and capture planet number 1. This is going to bounce into my victory display, and then I will do draw 3, one of which is Ammo Depot, which is great, and then I also got Anxious Infantry Platoon, which is really going to help with winning those other planets here. So I will just say, shall I end turn? Because it's looking like there are no additional combats, and his Synapse unit is going to bounce back to the HQ there. So I'll just say in turn, and looks like I got Suppressive Fire, which is going to be nice for his Soaring Gargoyles. And I'll just say snag your Synapse, sir. He is lonely at Planet 2. Okay, and it's now his initiative. I've got a bunch of cards in hand. I don't have a lot in the form of resources, so at planet number 1, he's got that Virulent Spore Sacs, and if I deploy a lot of units to planet 1, then he's going to potentially be able to win that planet. He's exhausted regeneration to pull points of damage off of his gargoyles, and that's going to be his move. So I'll say, let me think about my first deploy action, because that's a nice little deploy stall for him. So I would like to be able to win at planet number 1, but it's not going to be the end of the world. In fact, I could let planet 1 basically just disappear and focus on winning at planet 2 and 3. In fact, I could even send Broderick to planet 3. Planet 5 is the trigger the battle ability of any other planet, and I've currently got 5 resources, so I could do Anxious Infantry Platoon is 2, Sakhalem Shrine Guard is 3, Ammo Depot is 4, but then I'm nowhere near as few cards as I want, but I'll be able to shield some stuff. I could do another infantry platoon at planet 1 and send Broderick to planet 3, and that wouldn't be a terrible idea because I'd be able to basically win at that planet. If his old One-Eye arrives at planet 2, he's only going to be able to attack for a small amount, so I could do okay, so if old One-Eye goes to planet number 1, he'll be able to attack first, and I've got my Shrine Guard. So I could do Steel Legion Chimera at, like, planet 2, and then I should probably save that for a surprise dump the following round. So I could do another Anxious Infantry Platoon at 2. Like, I want to send Broderick to 3. So why don't I do another platoon at 1? If old One-Eye shows up, he's not going to be able to kill off some of my units. I'll be able to deal a ton of damage to him. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'll do another Anxious Infantry platoon at 1. He's got 5 resources and 5 cards. Let's see what he's got. I've got a Suppressive Fire, which I can use kind of as needed if it happens to work out for me. Okay, so that Toxic Venom Thrope at 5, I'm not too terribly concerned about, but he'll infest that planet. Because Broderick has got an Anxious Infantry platoon, I'm not going to be going to that planet, but I, could definitely think about it. The Stalking Lictor I'm going to want to block off, so why don't I do another Shrine Guard at Planet 2, just to make sure that he's not going to be able to do something cute, like have his Warlord arrive at that planet and handily win it, or alternatively, his Stalking Lictor isn't going to be able to show up and then shut off my command. So if Old One-Eye goes to planet number 1, he's not going to be able to kill off any of my units in a single swing. He'll be able to only wound one, but then he'll be bloodied in return, especially in the context of having an Elysian assault team. And it's a kind of a poor idea for Old One-Eye to be arriving at planet 2 as well. So it's not looking like I'm going to be able to get, cards or anything like that. I could do a Sanctioned Psyker out to 5 just to block him from drawing a card and getting a resource, which is maybe what I'm going to do. It kind of irritates me to put a unit outside of my, victory conditions here, but I'm going to be sending Broderick to 3 anyways, and yeah, I guess we'll just have to kind of see how things go. I wish I had one more resource, so he's going to put a Termagant token into play at each planet, and that basically tells me that he's got Clogged with Corpses in his deck, so I'll have to be careful about forward barracks or troop transport, anything like that. So he's now got all these little throwaway Termagant tokens, which are really just kind of more annoying than anything else. So I could do a Sanctioned Psyker at 2, or I could do something else elsewhere. I really would like to block him off from getting 1 resource and 1 card. So let's say Old One-Eye shows up at planet 1, he'll be able to deal quite a bit of damage. Those Soaring Gargoyles are far from invincible, but it's not going to be the end of the world if I lose planet 1 and my opponent has to win it at kind of a significant cost. So I think I'm just going to do it. I'll put my Sanctioned Psyker here, and now let's just see what all he's going to be doing. I could have Broderick show up at 2, but that probably wouldn't be a great idea. I think really the best case scenario is to just kind of see which of these planets I'm likely to be able to win, and then on my win condition planet I can end up dropping a Steel Legion Chimera there, and if I have Broderick arrive here, he'll be able to kill off the Ripper Swarm, and then move one of these units, ideally to set me up nicely for some sort of victory condition if we're fighting okay. So that really makes me think that Old One-Eye is going to be showing up at planet 2, and that makes me a little bit nervous about what's going on. So maybe I want to send my platoon to that planet just to make sure that Old One-Eye isn't going to be able to do much. If I win, he can take a big gamble at Iridial, so I think I want to send my Warlord to planet 2, because Old One-Eye can swing at, my Warlord for 2. These are only going to be able to do so much, but I've got quite a few shield cards in hand. So if I send Broderick, he can just help stack up the damage, and then the quicker I can remove Old One-Eye from the planet and kill off this Soaring Gargoyles, the better. And then with the Elysian Assault team, I think I'll probably end up doing pretty well. And then that way I can guarantee that I'll be able to draw 1 card, and if his Warlord doesn't show up at the first planet, I'll be able to win planet 1 quite handily. So why don't I go ahead and set my Servo Skull as planet number 2, and in doing that, I'll be able to drop off my Anxious Infantry platoon as well, and I think that'll work out really favorably. And even if my Warlord gets really wounded, I'm going to be able to, like, if I win at that planet, I'll be able to use Iridial to strip away all of that damage there. So the kind of crap thing is that Old One-Eye does have initiative, but let's see here. I'm going to win command at planets 1 and planet 2, and it's looking like that is it, but let me go ahead and win command. I got a second Elysian Assault team, which is a little bit of a godsend. I believe there are only a couple of those in this deck. My opponent's got 4 cards and 2 resources. And now let's see how things are going to go here. So Karnath has now been infested, and I guess it's going to be battle at planet number 1. So why don't I call out actions before battle for planet 1. The Virulent Spore Sacs is going to be exploding, and that's going to be a point of damage on each of my units. But I don't think I'm going to bother shielding against any of that damage yet, because these guys are going to be showing up at a planet exhausted, so I'm not going to worry about it. He's going to have an opportunity to attack with his Termagant token, but it's not going to be sufficient to win the planet or even kill off one of my units. So I'm going to go ahead and indicate that I don't have any actions. I'm done. He is going to have 1 resource that I can steal. Unfortunately, I don't have a preemptive barrage or anything awesome like that. I'll go ahead and add 1 point of damage onto that little unit there. I'll see if he's got any action, and I presume that he does not, so why don't I just say... Okay, so he does not have any action. I will indicate that I don't have any action either. I'll use my more wounded of the 2 to kill his token, and then I will... Okay, so he is indicating that he's done. I will go ahead and capture the planet, and I'll go ahead and up my resources by 1, and he decreases his resources by 2. So these guys are going to bounce back to my HQ, and now we're going to have a battle at this planet. So there's no point in making it green, there's no point in using suppressive fire yet. I'm going to want to be directing all of my damage toward Old One-Eye, and then I'll probably be retreating away from this planet. So I'm going to indicate that I don't have any actions quite yet. And let's see what Old One-Eye is going to do. He's not healed this phase, so he's only going to be able to attack for a total of, I guess, 4 between all of these units, if he decides to direct all of his firepower at my Warlord. And really the only way that I'm going to be using shielding is if it's to save one of my Shrine Guards and prevent them from being killed. So let's see what happens here. That's only going to be 1 point of damage, so... That's not going to be enough for me to worry about it, and I'll be attacking with them first. So I could choose to either finish off Old One-Eye, yeah, and I think that is indeed what I want to do. So I'll just go ahead and say no action for him, just to be absolutely sure. I'll swing at Old One-Eye for 3. Okay, so he does a Spore Burst to shield that, and he's only going to end up taking 1 point of damage. So now it's going to be his turn again. He's going to be able to kill the Sakhalem Shrine Guard if he chooses to do so, and I may decide to use an Elysian Assault team based on what I see, because he might also try to kill my other little Shrine Guard here. If that's the case, I'll be using Summary Execution to get rid of it. So he's attacking with his Termagant token, and what I could do, so I'll indicate that I'm also done, is I've got 2, 5, and that is enough to bloody Old One-Eye. If I'm to do a... like, I may let it die, and I might drop an Elysian Assault team just to try to really force Old One-Eye to run away from the planet. Although I suppose I could also... Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let it die, and I'm going to replace it with that effect. So I'll go ahead and put him into play, And now I will just see if my opponent has got any actions. So he is done with his actions. I'm going to go ahead and swing for 3 at his Warlord, and now the goal here again is to really just try and force Old One-Eye away from this planet, lest he stay and be bloodied. Like, if he wants to hang around, he could attempt to kill my Sakhalem Shrine Guard, but if that's the case, first of all, he's not going to kill it, and then second of all, I'm going to be able to swing at him for 5, and that's going to guarantee, okay, so he decides to retreat. And that about sucks, and now this game is looking really bad for Old One-Eye. Maybe he decides not to retreat, because that would basically be abandoning the game. He does decide to retreat, and I guess now it's going to be up to him to decide whether or not he has any actions or not. Yes, I believe so. In any case, no actions. So he was inquiring if he gave me a chance for actions, and he is done with his actions. So now I'm going to have an opportunity to attack. I'll be swinging for 3. I want to try to kill off these soaring gargoyles if I can. So 3 is going to be cut in half, rounded up to 2, and now it's going to be his action, so why don't I just go ahead and say, you know, basically the equivalent of no action, and then I'm going to be swinging at his soaring gargoyles. I'll see if they die, I guess. He might have a shield card to spare them, but again, because he's at a planet with Broderick Worr, okay, so that is a real nice little victory for me there. This Elysian Assault team is going to be what I'll attack with first, and I will use a shield card to save it. I should really disable my Windows key, and I guess let's see. We come to the end of a combat round. All of these units are going to ready. I'm going to decide to remove Broderick from that planet just because I want to minimize the amount of damage that he takes, and I guess I just retreat my Warlord. Okay, so he's indicated he has no actions. I also have no actions. He's going to be swinging for 1, and I will discard a summary execution to spare my very vulnerable unit there. So I'm going to go ahead and block off that point of damage, and now we'll see if he's got an action or not. I can't think of anything that he would be wanting to use, and I'll just indicate that I've got no action myself. He indicates that he's done. Oh, wait. Oh, it's too late. Okay. So anyways, yeah, that was, I guess it doesn't really matter either way, but, so when I killed his Termagant token, of course, his sentry readies, so I guess my attack would have been better used to kill the sentry, so I think I want to let my Elysian Assault team die just because Suppressive Fire would be better used to save something else. So it's a nice little, you know, get out of jail free card or whatever you want to call it. I'll go ahead and attack for 3 at his Termagant Sentry, and now I'll presumably be able to... Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and trigger on this dude, so I'm going to go ahead and win at that planet. And what is the sub damage button? It is F2. Okay, I thought I was hitting F2 on my keyboard. So there we go. That's going to be set up, and I'll just say in turn whenever ready. Okay, and then that will bring us to hopefully the last round of the game, and now I've got some really devious tricks here at my disposal. So for planet number 1, I'm going to be definitely sending Broderick to that planet. I've got initiative. My opponent has 5 resources and 5 cards. I've got 7 and 6. I've got Suppressive Fire. I've got Steel Legion Chimera. I've got Inquisitorial Fortress. Those are all really nice to see. So I think what I'm going to do is... I guess consumption could maybe be a thing, but that's probably not going to save him. I definitely want to do Steel Legion Chimera at planet number 1 just to try to seal my victory condition here. Inquisitorial Fortress is going to be able to remove a unit. I could do, yeah, so I want to use Inquisitorial Fortress to remove that Volatile Pyrovore. I could do a Sanctioned Psyker at that planet, or I could do 2, 3, and then that would get me down. I will do an ammo depot, and we'll see what happens to come of that. I apparently need to fix my image pack, because that's an extremely low-resolution image there. So the Volatile Pyrovore is a really nasty unit, but if I can just get rid of it, then that's not a big deal at all. I'm going to go ahead and spend money on Inquisitorial Fortress to remove his Volatile Pyrovore, and now I'm going to be able to do a little bit of a deploy stall, and ideally I'll draw something like... I don't know if I've seen all of my copies of Sakhalem Shrine Guard or not, so I've still got one of those. I could have another Rattling Deadeye. Alright, Clogged with Corpses is used now, which is a little bit unfortunate, so that is going to be destroyed. I did happen to forget about that one, but, you know, that's kind of what I wanted to do anyways, so a little bit of a tough break there, but it's okay. I'm going to be able to make it through this one, hopefully. Suppressive Fire is going to work in my favor. I do have a lot of shield cards. I'll use Ammo Depot to draw a card, which is Promotion. I'm not going to be too terribly worried about winning Command, though he'll probably send his Stalking Lictor to planet number 1. Old One-Eye, I imagine, will also go to planet number 1, but I've got the Elysian Assault Team. I've got... okay, so he puts out another Toxic Venomthrope, and now that's kind of annoying that he's going to be able to win a card in a resource and probably 2 additional cards at that planet, unless I do something like a promotion on this unit, and then I will be able to pull his Sanctioned Psyker away from that planet. Like, let's see, if... I've got 3 command icons here, so he'll basically be forced to send his Stalking Lictor there, and then that's going to be a 1/4 I don't necessarily have to deal with. So I think I'm going to go ahead and promote my guy there, and let's just see what all happens. I can only imagine that, yeah, he indicates that he is done. I guess I'm going to be done as well. So, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to use the fortress to remove a unit from that planet, but it's looking like things are probably pretty good. Why don't I go ahead and set my Servo Skull to planet number 1, and let's just see if I can win this one. I'm going to want to kill that Volatile Pyrovore, if at all possible, just as quickly as possible, I suppose, if I need to. Okay, yep, exactly as anticipated. His Stalking Lictor goes over there. I'll send Broderick Worr here. I'll exhaust both of these guys. And now really the kind of only annoying thing is I want to be able to kill that Volatile Pyrovore without having to deal with just kind of a bunch of crap that it can maybe do. So I'm going to end up winning Command at planet number 1. Let's go ahead and win my card and hope for something. No, that was totally irrelevant. So he's going to end up getting actually a lot of cards. That is probably going to be a total of 4 cards and 2 resources. The cards being from those Venomthropes there, and at least I believe he should. Maybe he's not remembering to. Okay, yeah, there he is. And here he's probably going to draw another couple of cards. I think what I want to be able to do is get rid of Old One-Eye as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, I don't have a preemptive barrage, but I'm going to direct a bunch of fire toward Old One-Eye, and then I'll probably use Suppressive Fire to knock out the Volatile Pyrovore. So I guess I'm going to go ahead and indicate that I don't have any actions. So I'll just ask no actions before combat here. We good to go? Question mark. And then let's see how things are going to resolve. So I've got the first swing. I'm going to want to try to bloody his Warlord as quick as I can. So I will take a shot of 4 at Old One-Eye. and I've got my Steel Legion Chimera that's going to be curbing the amount of outgoing damage that he can be dealing, and what's nice for me is I don't have to worry about a lot of tricks in this situation. So Old One Eye is only going to end up taking 3 points of damage. He's not quite bloodied, and now I'm probably going to be using an action. He's only going to be able to hit, well, he could have Ferocious Strength, in which case he's going to be able to hit my Warlord really hard. So let me... hopefully that didn't end up being a big mistake, but with Old One Eye, he could do... Let me just say, thinking for a moment. Okay, sorry. Okay, so I guess my biggest fear is that he uses Ferocious Strength, and then he exhausts my Warlord, but even if that's the... Sorry, if he uses Ferocious Strength, he can hit my Warlord for 8, but even if that's the case, even if Broderick is going to be bloodied, I'm going to be okay. I'm only going to be able to keep one of these units in play, but I'm going to have sufficient mass to be able to win at this planet. So what I think I want to do is I'm going to want to use... And the Sakhalem Shrine Guard can swing for 3. They're a more fragile target than is Broderick. So if Old One Eye attacks and gets Ferocious Strength, he'll swing for 8. That subtracts 1. This subtracts 1. So I'm trying to think, do I want to use Suppressive Fire with my Shrine Guard or Broderick? The Shrine Guard is going to be able to be killed by the Volatile... Well, okay, so they're not going to be able to attack. So what I think I want to do is I'll use Suppressive Fire with Broderick, knowing that he's not going to be able to kill these in a single swing, and they have higher damage output. So I'm going to go ahead and use Suppressive Fire, and I'm going to exhaust... well, I guess I'll use Suppressive Fire to exhaust that. And there I indicate that my action is done, and now it's going to be up to him to decide whatever he wants to do. If he's got Ferocious Strength, that's kind of shitty and suboptimal for me, but even if he does, I think we're going to be okay with winning this one. So if he doesn't, that really sucks for him. If he does... that kind of sucks for me, but I should be okay regardless. And if he attacks with Old One Eye, I'll be able to bloody him. So I guess he says, I'll concede unless you really want to play it out. So if you want to concede, no need to... Okay, so I'm just going to verify that he is conceding. I guess he does not have Ferocious Strength, so I'm just going to go ahead and say GG, and then I'll go ahead and give my spiel. Alright, so it looks like my opponent has officially called out the GG, so that is good game. So very well played to dagreenmachine, but it looks like for the first time in 6 weeks or so, Broderick Worr, piloted by yours truly, was able to win this one. I think what definitely could have gone wrong at that very last moment would have been Old One Eye using Ferocious Strength to result in the bloodying of my Warlord, but even had that happened, I could have used my Shrine Guard to hopefully kill his Volatile Pyrovore, the Steel Legion Chimera to bloody his Warlord, and then I'd have had one resource to keep one of my Anxious Infantry platoons at the planet. I'd have had the opportunity to attack first. The Steel Legion Chimera would have kept reducing incoming enemy damage, and the Elysian Assault Team could have dropped into play to end up killing off enemy units as well. So that initial flop really hurt my Tyranid opponent. All those green planets definitely sucks against Broderick Worr. Had he not used Clogged with Corpses to remove that Inquisitorial Fortress, it would have really sucked, because he'd have lost his Volatile Pyrovore, and it would have been a kind of a rather simple last battle on my part. But, you know, if you've made it this far into the video, hopefully you enjoyed this match. Hopefully my live stream of consciousness style recording of this video wasn't too annoying or abrasive. But as always, you're encouraged to leave me feedback in the comments. What can I do to improve these videos just to make them better, more entertaining, more informative, just because, as always, I endeavor to continue providing for this community. So if you enjoyed this content, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to my channel if you've not done so already. Thank you so much for watching. If you ever want to get in touch with me, I definitely encourage you to reach out on social media. If you ever want to support the Hive Tyrant, I would encourage you to check out my Patreon page, just because each additional invested, contributed, donated dollar goes to improving my audio and video quality, and it just helps keep this channel alive. So thank you again for watching and experimenting with me with this very unusual style of video, but as always, be sure to check back in again soon for much more Conquest LCG content to come, and take care.